Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be creating this vendor and invoice tracker template. This comes with a database with all of the information that fits into this dashboard. This is part of my dashboard series where I am creating dashboards from database tables that look like this. If you haven't seen any of those videos, I do have a playlist and I will link it in the description box below. That being said, let's go over what I have to cover in today's tutorial. I have a checklist here. I'm going to start with a template overview, starting with the setup tab. Here is the setup tab. We have several tables that we're going to use to create dropdowns in our database. The next tab is the database tab. And as you can see, it's a very simple table. For these specific tutorials, I'm creating the databases to be very simple. There is no summary information. There are no charts or graphs. And this is because we have a dedicated tab with all of the charts, graphs, and summary information. All we're doing here is dumping and organizing our information, which is going to feed into the dashboard tab. Here's our dashboard tab. And again, you can see we have summary information, we have charts, graphs, we have summary tables, and we're going to be creating everything here from scratch. All right, so back here to our checklist, let's cross this off. We'll start by creating the setup tab, opening a blank sheet. And the first thing I like to do is just clean up the sheet. And what that means is that I select the entire page, change it to the font that I want to use, change the alignment. And then what I do next is that I remove the excess rows and columns. So everything after G and after 20. Select everything from H all the way down, delete them. And from 21 all the way down to 1000, delete. Now I can select this entire space, resize the rows, make it 30, and resize the first column and the last column, resize it. If we go back here, we have 3 tables. We're going to create these next. We can rename the setup tab setup 2. And as we're going through this tutorial, I will refer to the setup tab as our template that we are creating and refer to this setup tab as the example. Next, select every other column, these 2, select them, resize them as well, 30, and then select the actual columns for the tables, resize them as well, 200. Here's where the first table is going to go. Go to borders and put an outline around that, and the header is going to be here, so put an outline around there as well. Inside the table, I will put horizontal borders like so. I don't want this color, so I'll change it to this lighter color, change the line style to this one, so it looks like this. It's harder to see now because we still have the grid lines on. When we remove the grid lines, you'll be able to see it clearly. And then now I'm going to apply some colors. Everyone has a different style and taste. However, what I want to point out to you is I'm going to be using these colors right here. You can apply whatever colors you want from here. You can import your own color palettes. You can even import a picture and use the custom picker option to pick the colors from the picture. What I do recommend is using this section right here. Using this section right here gives you more control over the colors. Let me show you what I mean. Every time I need to apply a color to this template, I will select it from here. So start by selecting this color. Okay, so apply this color here. And if we go back to our example, that's the same color I have applied here. Now let's say I change my mind. I don't want this color anymore. I want maybe this purple color. Instead of changing the color here and then going back here and then changing the color here and going here and changing the color here, what I'm going to do, okay, is go back here, edit this, click on that pencil icon, go to this color, change it to the purple color. Once I do this, right, you see color changes here. It also changes here as well as everywhere in the template, including the graphs, which makes it so much easier, especially if you're creating the templates to sell it and you want to offer more options. So that's what I recommend. So going back here, I'm just going to undo some of the changes and I'm going to apply my colors from here. Go ahead and select whatever colors you want to apply to your template. I'm applying a background color here based on my preference. Now that this is done, select the entire table, use the paint format, paste it here. All right, so now I have 3 identical tables. Back to the setup tab, I will be using the same placeholder information. So you can do the same thing. You can use the same placeholder information that I am using, or if you already have the information that you want to go into your tracker, go ahead and add it now. The category, drop down, payment method, and payment status. Either use my examples or create your own. I'm going to just paste them here. The last thing to do is to remove the grid lines. Go to view, show grid lines, and here is our final table done. Okay, so back here, we can cross this off. Next, we're going to create the database table, this one right here. Okay, start with another new sheet, rename this vendor database 2, select the entire space, change the font, alignment. Then I'm going to remove the excess columns. In this case, remove everything after Q. You can keep the rows the same to allow you to track as much information as possible. The only thing I'm doing is selecting everything and then resizing them to 30. Select the first column and the last one, resize to 30 as well. Here's where our table header is going to go. In row 2, we're going to add a border around it like so. And you can add a border around the entire table as well. So select everything, external border. I also want to add internal borders around the table. So select the the entire table again, back to borders, change it to this right here, the dotted line and horizontal borders. Go ahead and apply whatever colors you want. I will apply color from my color palette here. All right, back to our example. What I'm going to do next is copy the header columns, just paste it in the information. We're going to go through each one, resize some of them and add formatting to others. All right, so this is the first one. It's a number column, so it can be narrow. The vendor name, we'll make this a little bit wider. Let's say 200. And here is the first column that we're going to create a drop down for. It's the category. So I'm going to resize this to 150. All right, to create a drop down for this column, I'm going to select some of the rows in the column, go to data validation and add rule. And once I do that, you see it automatically applies this drop down. That's not what I want. In addition to that, I also want to adjust the range. I only selected a few of the cells, but I do want the drop down to go all the way down to 1,000. So an easy way to do this without having to select everything all the way down is to just select a few cells, go back here. You see how it says 11? That's the last row in my selection. I can go back. Once I do that, it selects everything all the way down and it leaves it open-ended. So even if you add more rows in the future, it automatically adds them. The criteria is going to be drop down from range and click on select data range. Go back to our setup tab, which is setup 2. So select this range right here, click OK. And then back here, click done. Or if you want, we can go to advanced options and change the style. I will leave the style as chip for now. So click done. And then now I can select the categories into the template. Next is the contact person. This is going to be a regular text column. So we don't need to change the format to just resize it. Make this 200. Contact email address is the same. Resize it. We don't need to make any changes. For contact phone number, I'll do the same. Resize to 150. And for the website / link, I'll select that column and use paint format to apply the same formatting to the cell. All right. So total cost, this is going to be a currency column. We can resize it. And then we're going to apply currency formatting. We'll click the entire column and you can use this format currency that shows up here, or you can go to format, number, and here's some more currency options, or you can take it a step further by going to custom currency and searching for your specific currency for your country, or if you're creating it for someone else, select the currency that they would need from here and apply it. For this example, I will use the dollar currency. Same thing for this, so do it one more time. Select it, paint format, apply it here. So this is total cost, deposit paid, and balance due. The next is event date and due date. Select a few of the cells from both columns. Add rule and remove the row number after column M. So it's from L3 to M. Change the criteria from drop down to valid date. So select that, reject the input, and you can opt to click this box that shows some additional information just in case you're using the spreadsheet with somebody else or you're making it for somebody else, so they know that these two columns need to have a valid date. After that, click done. We can test it out. So you see that the date shows up here. What I like to do is to take it a step further, select both cells, go to formats, number, and I'm going to apply one of these date formats. These are showing up here because I recently used them. If you don't have it showing up here, go to custom date and time, and here you can also see the different options to apply. I'm going to select this one, which is the shortened month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. Click apply, and here is what it looks like. The next is a payment status. Payment status is a drop down. So we're going to apply data validation to this column, select a few of them, add rule, remove the row number, change it from drop down to drop down from range, select data range, this entire column, click OK, just double check and it's working good. The next one is payment method. Do the same thing, add rule, remove the row number, drop down from range, payment method, click OK, click done, and the payment methods show up here. The last is notes. This is going to be a regular text column. We don't really need to do any special formats. Resize this, make this 200. And the last thing we're going to do is add our filter to the table. So to do this, select the entire table header, go to the icons on the right hand corner until you find the one that is a funnel that says create a filter. Click on that, and what this is going to do is add a filter to the table. You can see that the filter has been applied because it's selecting these two rows right here. Sometimes it stops selecting the entire table, so what I like to do instead of applying it to the first row only is I apply it to the entire table at once. So just select the entire thing and click on the icon, and now it applies it to the entire table. Before I apply the placeholder information, one of the columns here, the balance due, is going to have a formula. So go back to our example. You can see that this column is grayed out. If I double click here, you can see that there is a formula. The formula is column I minus column J. So the total cost minus the deposit paid is the balance due. And the reason why I have this extra information here for C3 is to add an additional condition that if there's nothing in C3, this formula should be blank. That way, when we copy the formula all the way down, as you can see here, nothing shows up. So we're going to copy it and use it in our sheet. Scroll over here to balance balance due, paste it here. And this formula should work automatically because we're using the exact same rows and columns, which brings me to my advice. If you're making this template with me, try to use the exact rows, columns, and ranges and names if possible for the tabs that I am using. When we start creating the dashboard and we're referencing the tabs, if you're not using the same tab names, you just copied my formulas, you're going to have error. The nice thing about Google Sheets is that later on, you can go ahead and change it to whatever you want and the formula will automatically adapt. All right, so now that we have our formula here, copy this cell, select the entire column all the way down, paste formula only. So now each cell should have a formula. When I double click, you can see that it's highlighting these two cells as well as the cell here. It's working the way it's supposed to. All right, so now we can go back here and add in our placeholder information. I will be copying the placeholder information from here. You're welcome to add in placeholder information into your template or add in the information you already have that you want to track. All right, so now I have my table done. Let's go back here. We can cross this off. We added our data validation rules, so we can cross it off as well. Next, we're going to create the dashboard structure. Start out again with a new tab, select the entire thing and make changes like I did before. And then back here, we're going to remove everything after Q and after 32. So here is our sheet. Everything after Q, delete. Entire range underneath 32, delete. Select all, resize to 30, and do the same for the first and the last column, 30. Okay, so let's go back to our dashboard. First, we're focusing on just creating the structure. Later on, we'll add in the formulas and the graphs. So starting with this area, we'll go ahead and create this section right here. This section has 4 rectangles. Before we add the rectangles in our template, let's add in the spaces between each section. So right here, you can see that this is one section, here's the second section, the third and the fourth. Back to our template, we can add the rectangles here, but before that, count 1, 2, 3 columns and select the fourth one. Do the same thing here, 1, 2, 3, select the fourth, 1, 3, select the fourth. And this is going to be the space columns. So we resize them to 30. These are the main columns. So select them, all of them at once, right click and make this one 25. All right. So now we can add our rectangles to these 3 columns and 4 rows. Select the rectangle, add border color around them. Here's where the title is going to go. Select these 3 cells, merge them. And here's where the number is going to go. So merge this as well. And select the entire thing, add whatever color you want. I'm using this light color from my color palette. Select the entire rectangle, use the paint format and apply it here. Select both of them, paint format and apply it here. For this row right here, the first one, we're going to resize it, make it 15. So this part is done. And then I'm going to copy these headers here. So this says total cost, total deposits paid, total balance due, and the percentage paid so far. So we're going to copy these and paste them here. I want these to be smaller, so select all of them, resize them to 8. The numbers are going to go here. So we want this bigger and bold. So select the entire space, change this to 24 and make it bold. So right now we're just creating the structure. We're not adding the formulas. We'll add that later. Next, we're going to create this area with our graphs, starting from row 7 all the way down to 18. And then these start from 20 all the way to 31. So we have 1 rectangle and 2 squares. Select from row 7 to 18, go all the way across underneath these 2 rectangles, add borders around them, outer borders. And now do the same for the squares. Select both of them. So we have this square here and this square here and our outer borders. Here is where the header is going to go. So we're going to select that entire range, merge it, and add the header border. And do the same for this. And add the border, and then we can add the colors that we want. So go ahead and add whatever color that you want to apply to your table. All right, so this part is done. Next, we're going to create this section here. So we have a short table that goes from row 7 to row 13, space, and then another table that goes all the way till the end. All right, so back here, so here's the table 7 to 13. Put the border around it, select the header area, merge, and put a border around that as well. Then apply whatever color you want to the header. Here is the next table, so put a border around this, and here's where it's going to go. So merge that. All right, and apply the outer border around the header section. Back here, we have a drop down here, and we do have a drop down here, so we won't apply the same style to our template. But what I'm going to do before doing that is I want to modify this area so it looks just like this. I'm going to modify the example, and then we'll create it correctly in our template. So now let's replicate the same thing in our template dashboard. We're going to add our title and we're going to create a drop down here. This is the name of the vendor right here, the vendor names that we've added to our vendor database. So we're going to add that drop down into our dashboard. So let's go back here, add that information. I'm adding borders around these here. Merge this. This is where the drop down is going to go. And here's going to say select. So go to data validation, add a role, change it from drop down to drop down from range. And for our range, it's going to be our database. So go to the database database 2 and select this entire column. We want it to go all the way down. We want to select everything, but I'm only selecting a few cells. Remove the row number so it selects everything automatically. And back here, I'm going to change the style. So go to advanced options, change it from chip to arrow and click done. All right. So now when we click here, you can see the vendor name show up here. All right. Now go ahead and change the colors, add whatever colors you want. If we go back here, you can see that we have the first column intact and then these two columns are merged. So let's do the same. Select this entire range within the table, the two columns at once, merge type and merge horizontally. All right, so this is going to be similar to this. So we can go ahead and select this range, use the paint format, paste it here. Here's where our header is going to go, upcoming payments, and here's going to be select, and we're going to add a drop down here. Back to the example, here are the drop downs that we're going to be adding. Due today, due this week, and due this month. All right, so back here, click in that space, data validation, add rule is going to be drop down this time, not drop down from range. And we're going to type in due today, type exactly what I'm typing because these words are going to be referenced in the formulas. If you do decide to use a different verbiage, you can. We just have to modify the formula. And then when we're actually placing the formulas in the table, I'll show you how to do so. All right, so we have due today, due this week, due this month, advanced options, change it to arrow and click done. All right, so now when we go here, we can select due today, due this week and do this month. We're going to format the internal borders for these two tables. So select the first table, go to internal borders, change it to this gray color, change it to this dotted line, horizontal borders. Do the same for this, select the entire range, borders, horizontal borders. The last section is graph and the table. The graph section goes from 7 to 14 and then the table right underneath. So right here, 7 to 14, the header is going to go here. So merge this, add the border around it and add whatever color you want. And then here is where the header for the columns are going to go. I'm using this light color, select the rest of the table, external borders, and then we're going to add horizontal borders. So click horizontal borders, change the color to the gray color, change the style to the dotted line. So here's what it looks like so far. I forgot to apply this formatting here. This is for the column labels. So go back here. All right, so the labels will go here and the formula would go here. Same thing for this, the labels over here and the formula will go here. So we can go ahead and remove the grid line, view, show, grid line. All right, so here's what it looks like. I forgot to add the title here, so let's go back. Here's going to be vendor categories spending, so just add that here. Back to our checklist. Here's where we are. We've created a dashboard structure, cross that off. Next, we're going to add the formulas to the dashboard. Back to our example, we have formulas here, 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 and here. We'll start with these rectangles up here. We'll start with the first one. This rectangle is displaying the total cost, right? So if we go to our database, the total costs is from this column I. So it's adding everything from column I. So if we double click, you can see sum of column I. So we're going to copy this and take it back to our dashboard. We're going to paste it here. We need to change the name here because this is referencing the example tab. We wanted to reference here vendor database 2, not vendor database. And here is also where if you are using a different tab name, so you're not using vendor database 2 like I am doing, go ahead and add your name here. Replace vendor database 2 with the name of the tab that you have. And if your total cost is not in column I3 to I, here's where you can change it to. For this template, it's exactly the same. So all we need to do is hit enter and the total shows up here. And then we can test this by going to our database. So let's remove half of these values. I'm just going to select the bottom half, delete them. And now we have just these numbers. So I'm going to select all of them and see what the sum is at the corner right here. It says 23,200. So if I go back to my dashboard, it should be 23,200. So that works the way it's supposed to. Just undo that change and let's go to the next rectangle. This is the total deposits paid. So it's the same as this. The only difference is it's referencing column J because column J is where we have all deposits. Back to our dashboard. These formulas are essentially the same. It's just referencing a different column. So we can copy this here, paste it here, and then change it from column I to column J. So J3 to J and hit enter. And the total deposits paid is 15,150. Back here, we can double check that. Deposits paid 15,150. Again, do the same thing, just remove a bunch of them. And now the total should be 4,400. So you can see the bottom right hand corner right here, 4,400. And back on our dashboard, 4,400. So it's working the way it's supposed to. So undo these changes. And the third one is the same thing. All right, it's the total balance due. So this is going to be referencing column K. So we can go back to our dashboard, use the same formula we used, we paste it here, and now change it from I to K. hit enter, and then you can go ahead and double check that information as well. Back here, that's this column. So I'm selecting the entire range, all the numbers in the range, and it's 23,850, which is correct, 23,850. The last rectangle is the percentage paid so far. Back to our dashboard, equals this amount divided by total costs. All right. And all the way back here, you can see that this is a decimal number, which is fine. We just need to format it as percent. Go all the way to the menu and select format as percent. And you can leave it in 2 decimal places, or you can change it if you want to 1 decimal place. So it looks like this, or no decimal place. So 39%. If you want, you can change the text color here. So deposits would be green and balance due would be red. We're not using any conditional formatting for this. We just changing the text color to green for amount paid and changing the text color here to red for the balance due. All right. So this part is done. Next, we're going to focus on the small table here and the formulas here. Before we do that, let me explain what this table is so you know what it represents. So it says vendor information summary, because when we select any vendor, it displays the category of the vendor, the contact person, their email address, phone number, and their link, so that you don't have to go to your database each and every single time. So let's say you want to know about cake decorations. You want to know the contact person and the email address. Type cake and cake creations shows up. Select that and you can see the category, the contact person, email address, phone number, and their link. So that's what we're doing. In this column, we want to display the actual label for the column. So the information up here, right? And then here is going to be the information within the table. So the information down here. All right. We're going to use formulas to pull up the information. So first we'll do this, and you can type in these manually. What I like to do is referencing them directly. So let me show you what I mean by that. So right here, instead of typing category, email address, phone number, I'm going to reference the name of the column directly, clicking equals, going to my database and clicking in that cell, okay, the header cell, and enter. So it shows category here, and do the same for the next one, contact person. You can change the order of display. So if you want contact person to show up first, reference it first. I'm just going in order of how it's displayed here, but you can do whatever order you want. All right. So just keep going and select the information you want referenced. And if you want to add more references, you can do that. You just move these down, okay, and expand this all the way down like so. Then you could add in more information. All right. So it's up to you how you want it done. I'm going to left align this, make it bold and italicized. And for this, I'm going to left align it. All right. So let's look at the formulas that we need to put into this space. The first one, it is usually the index formula, but it's essentially filtering the information from the database. When the name of the vendor from the dropdown matches the vendor in the database, is going to pull in the matching category in column D. Let's copy this formula and paste it here. Before we hit enter, let's make some changes. Vendor database, we need to use our vendor database 2 because that is the database we're using. Do the same here. So vendor database is being corrected and K8 is correct. Column D, 3 to D is where we have our category listed. So go ahead and enter. And for Lightning Solutions, let's just double check. So the vendor here is Lightning Solutions right here. And you can see that the category is Lightning and the contact person is Dave Green. We'll verify that next after we enter the formula for contact person. We're going to use this same formula for the rest of the table. I'm just copying it. I'm going to paste it here. Now we need to filter column E, not column D anymore, because now we want the information for contact person. So change D to E. So now it's column E3 to E. Everything else stays the same. Hit enter. And now you can see the contact person is Dave Green. So we're going to do the same thing. Change D to F, hit enter, and his email address shows up here. Do it 2 more times. This is G, H3 to H. All right. So this is done. Double check by changing it, and you can see that this changes dynamically. Next, we're going to enter the formula for this table. So back to our example. This is for upcoming payments. So if you want to see the payments that are due today, this week, and this month, all right, that information is going to be filtered here. Let's take a look at the formula. It's going to filter column C, which is the vendor name, column K, which is the amount, and column M, which is the due date. So column C, column K, and column M. That's what is going to be displayed here. And here are some filter criteria. It's going to look at K16, which is this drop down. And if K16 is due today, it's going to look at column M and match the dates with today and only display information for the due dates that are today. It's going to do the same for due this week. All right. So it's going to look at column M, and when K16 is due this week, it's going to display the dates that are due this week and do the same thing for due this month. All right. And I do have a constraint here that's 14. I will explain this in a second, but let's copy this formula. So you can go ahead and pause the video, copy the formula, paste the formula here. Before we hit enter, let's change this to 2. Vendor database 2, this one. Make sure you change all of them. So vendor database 2, here, it's changed here, it's changed here, it's changed here, and here as well. K16 is where we have our drop down, so that still works. Everything is fine, so hit enter. And here's what it looks like. We need to make a few changes. This first column here. So select it. I'm going to make it left justified just so it looks more organized. This is a currency column. Select the entire column, add the currency formatting, and this is a date format. So select that, go to formats and add this date format. All right. And then we can add the headers that's supposed to go here. So vendor, amount, and due date. Just add that here, make it bold. So here's what it looks like. Here's what I wanted to explain about 14. So remember, right, embedded in the formula, this says 14, and that's because we only had 14 slots available. If you're dealing with a lot of vendors, weekly or monthly, and this is going to be exceeded, you can extend this table, make it as long as you need, and then you can go here and change this number to however many rows you have. Okay, now let's test the formula to see if it works. Due this month, it looks like it's showing the correct values due this month because we are in the month of May. I'm recording this video May 27th. Let's change to due today. I have nothing showing up. Let's say due this week, so nothing showing up. Let's go back to our database and make some changes to those dates. So this is the due date. This is what we are filtering. I'm going to change this to Monday the 26th and select this Tuesday the 27th and add a few more dates this week. All right, and change this to next month. So we have a variety of dates. Back here, if we change to due today, we have one. This one right here, that's the one due today. All right, so it is working the way it's supposed to. Due this week, we have this list, due this month, and it shows up like this. One more thing is, you see how this is red? This has conditional formatting to highlight the row when it's past due. These are all past due because today's date is May 27th, so it's automatically highlighting these as past due. Go to conditional formatting. Here's the formula we're using. We're going to copy the formula. We're going to apply the formula to this range. So select the range, add rule, so conditional formatting rule. By the way, you can access conditional formatting by going to formats, conditional formatting, or you can access it from text color or fill color. So text color, it shows up here. Fill color, it shows up here. All right, so we have the correct range highlighted. Format rules, custom formula, and we're going to paste the formula we copied. All right, and I'll show you what we need to change, especially if you have made changes to your sheets. Starting with the beginning of the formula, you see this L18. All right, it needs to reference the first cell with a date. So right here, our column L, right here, L18, this is our first cell with a date, so that is correct. So if you have changed the range for your sheet, you're using a different range, just make sure that in your formula L18, make sure you add the $sign before that, the $sign L18, this cell, and it does show up again right here towards the end of the formula. We have L18 as well, again with the $sign. So just make sure you change it in those two spots and you should be good to go. Now we're going to change the formatting style. Let's use this color. All right, and it's showing up like this. One thing I want to do is I want this to be sorted by due date. You see how it says May 26th here, May 27th, and then we have May 7th. All right, I'm going to change this formula. I'm going to delete this old formula, and here is a replacement formula. This has the sort function added, and it's going to be sorted based on this third column. Let's hit enter, and now it's sorted correctly by due date. Next, we're going to add the formula here. This is a summary of amount based on category. This is going to be a sort filter formula, and when I place the formula here, you can see we have category and amount showing up here by our category amount, and this is going to be percent. That's a separate formula. Add the formatting for currency, and then the last column is the percentage, the amount here, dividing it by the sum of the amounts here. Copy that formula and paste it here. All right, and just make sure it works before we paste it all the way down. This part of the formula is just a condition before applying the actual formula, which is 0.16 divided by the sum of the amounts here. So this works fine. Now we can copy, select the entire range, right click, paste formula only, change the formatting, go to format as percent, and you can change the decimal places if you want. Here's what it looks like with one decimal place. All right, so this part of the table is done. Let's go back to our checklist. We can cross this off. Next, we're going to add our graphs and charts, and I'll take this opportunity to just talk about the Patreon. I do have a Patreon. It's another way to support me. If you want to see more of these types of videos, I can dedicate more time creating detailed step-by-step tutorial type videos. What's nice about being a member of my Patreon is that I will give you the template that I created. So this template is available for my Patreon members, so you don't have to worry so much about the formulas and making a mistake with the formulas because you have access to the template. You can make a copy of it and adapt it to your specific needs. Thank you to my current Patreon subscribers. Thank you for your support. Let's go ahead and add our graphs. We'll start with this graph right here. This graph is representing the category and the amount in a donut chart. So let's go here, select these two columns, the entire range here, insert charts. So it's automatically selecting the pie chart, which is fine. So what we can do is go back to our setup tab. We can change it to the donut chart, or we can go directly to customize and go to pie charts and change the donut hole here. So you can select any of the pre-built in percentages, or I like to do something a little bit more narrow. So so I like to go with 80%. All right. And then what I'm going to do is remove the background color and the border color. Okay. Because I already have a spot for where this chart's going to go right here. So I don't need the borders and I don't need the background color. Just going to pull it into this space right here, and I can delete this header title. And here's what it looks like. So we have the florist information, which is 9600, showing up like so. And then one thing I'm going to do that I don't have in my example is I want to display the total amount here. So the sum of the amounts here. So to do this, we're going to enter formula, sum formula. So do equals right into the space. So make sure you merge the cells in the space right here. So we'll do sum and select the entire range and hit enter. All right. So sum is 3900, which should match what we have right here. Okay. And we can make this bold, make this bigger. So let's do 24 and okay. And then we can pull this back in its space and we can already see that the number is way too big. So let's make this smaller. Let's do 14. So that works better. So you can remove the decimal places so it shows up as a whole number. Let's move on to the other charts. We'll do the category first. So equals, go to our column. I'm going to put the category there, enter. All right, so we have our category. All right, I'm going to go back here, delete this column. Okay, so category is back to D, and this shouldn't be affected because this automatically updates. We want to place the charts here. Click anywhere in the space, insert charts, column charts, click on the icon to select range, go to our database. This is the range we want, column D. All right, I'm only selecting a few cells and removing the row number so it selects everything automatically and hit OK. So back here, nothing shows up. All we need to do is click aggregates and it adds everything up. Go to charts style, remove the background color and the border, then just resize it and move it into this space so it looks like this. Double click, change the color to whatever color you want. All right, I'm just selecting this color from my color palette. All right, so for the last two, we're going to do payment status and payment method. We're going to do payment status first. Add the chart here. It's going to be a pie chart. Insert charts, change it to pie, select the range. It's going to be status, column N, select, remove the row number, click OK, aggregates, customize. I'm going to remove the background and the border and move it into this space right here. If you're placing it into a square space, you kind of see how it doesn't quite work well. You have to readjust everything for it to show correctly. But to circumvent that, I'm going to change it to left. That way you can easily read the information here. All right, I'm going to copy this chart, place it here. I'm going to change the range here, but before that, let's add the column name. So equals, that's going to be payment method, enter. And then this is column O. So now we can go here, edit charts and change it from column N. So anywhere we have N, replace the N with O, hit enter. You can see that it updates to the payment methods. All right, so back to our tutorial checklist. We've added up graphs and I talked about my Patreon. To wrap things up, first, I want to say thank you for staying all the way to the end. If you were able to successfully make your template, let me know in the comment section. And if you make changes to your own templates to fit your specific needs, let me know as well. If I am missing something that is very important, let me know in the comment section. If this video helped you, please give it a like. If you know someone that loves to create dashboards or that needs to create a dashboard that wants to learn the process of doing this, please share this video with them. And thank you so much once again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.